How many games would Tampa Bay Buccaneers win in 2025? What's going on, Bucks fans? It's your boy Mayon Jones here, back with another NFL record prediction, and I will be predicting the Bucks schedule for the 2025 NFL season. We're gonna get things started. So I'm gonna give you my analysis, see which games I think the Bucks will win and which games I think the Bucks will lose. So before I give you my record prediction for Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a 2025 NFL season, don't forget to put a thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and don't forget to comment down your opinion below to see how far you think the Bucks will be. Do you think the Bucks win division again and make the playoffs, or you think they're gonna miss out on the playoffs? Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. So week one, the Bucks play on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Um, this is a game that can totally go either way. Uh, I could totally see you know, I think in my early week one predictions, I picked the Bucks to win, but at the same time, that's a game that can go either way. And all of a sudden, both the two teams are similar to each other. But last year, the Bucks did get swept by Atlanta. That's something you got to remember. So basically, the game can go either way, and it will be a fun game to watch. I could see Tampa Bay winning, but at the same time, I'm gonna go with the Falcons here, and here's why. I kind of really feel like the Bucks are going to be adjusting to a new offensive coordinator, and I just don't really know if the Bucks are going to be true ready for that. And especially the Falcons defense, I don't think is great, but they're good against the run. So maybe they can get some pressure on, Baker and cause some mistakes. And I just really think that when you look at, the Falcons, they have a strong offensive line, a strong running game. I think they can find a way to at least control the Bucks pass rush. And I feel like Mike Falcons offense, we can find a way to pick up the blitz packages if Todd Bowles tries to be way too aggressive. So yeah. And also at the same time, I think the Bucks are a better team from a talent standpoint, but I just have a feeling that since it's a division rival, I think Atlanta will find a way to pull this one off. And I think Michael Penix can do enough to make some plays and like get find a way to at least attack the Bucks defense. So yeah, I think the Falcons will win week one. Then week two, they got to play against the Texans on a Monday Night Football in Houston. I think they're going to lose back-to-back games and lose to the Texans. Now, here's why. Now, we seen that game a few years ago. The game was like an offensive game, and, it was a shootout, and the Texans did win on a game-winning drive. So, yeah, I think the Texans can do it again. The Texans, they have a really good pass rush, and they have one of the best defenses in football, which I think that can really give the Baker and that offense tons of fits. And they're good against the run as well. But at the same time, their secondary is solid. They have good corners that can really hold against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Because I don't know if Godwin's going to be healthy by then. And then all of a sudden, the Texans do have good weapon read on offense that can really give the Bucks defense some fits. I think, the Texans offensively, I feel like they can really get after that Bucks secondary. And I think, CJ Stroud, will have answers for the Bucks blitzes and all that if the Bucks try to blitz too much. So yeah. So basically, I think the Bucks will do a good job, I think the Texans will do a good job, controlling the game, you know, possess the ball and keeping Baker on the sidelines, which that pretty much allows the Bucks defense to be on their toes. So I think the Texans will win this game, but it will be a lot closer than we expected. But this will be a fun game to watch. The next game, week 3 against the New York Jets. This is a Todd Bowles revenge game. I got the Bucks winning this game, and the reason for it is that I just have a feeling that the Jets are not a good team. Their quarterback Justin Fields, who I'm not a huge believer in, he's one of the worst stars in the NFL as a pure passer. The Jets' offensive line is not great. They don't have a deep receiving core outside of Garrett Wilson. Their defense is solid, but at the same time, if they're probably gonna be worn out on how bad their offense will be. And I think the Bucks do have, I don't think the Jets have the passing game to at least get after that secondary. I think Bowles will have a good game plan to fool Justin Fields and make life difficult on him. And he did it in the past before when Fields was in Chicago, but I think he can do it again. And also, I don't think the Jets are going to be able to run the ball effectively really that well. So I think there's a chance the Bucks defense can take advantage of that. And I think as long as they don't really give up big plays to Garrett Wilson, they should be fine. Jamel Dean and Garrett Wilson will be a fun matchup. So I think they'll find a way to at least force the Jets to beat you. So yeah, and also the Bucks are just a much more complete team and have the better quarterback, and they're at home and have the better coaching staff. I mean, the Jets do have a rookie coaching staff. That's something you got to remember. So yeah, I think that's an easy win for the Bucks. Next game, Week 4 against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is another game that can go either way. I could see Philly winning this game. I could see Tampa winning this game because Tampa Bay has pretty much owned the Eagles at the line of scrimmage, and Bowles had figured out how to confuse Hurts, which he pretty much did. But at the same time, I lean Eagles here. And a reason for that is that I just think the Eagles offense will do better, getting after your secondary because I feel like, that offensively, I just think the Eagles do have a solid offensive line that can really stalemate the Bucks pass rush. And the Eagles defensive line can totally give Baker Mayfield some fits. They do have the secondary to match up well with the Bucks receivers. So yeah, and also I just think the Eagles are just a way better team overall. So yeah, and I think Vic Fangio will have a plan for the Bucks offense to figure out how to at least contain Baker Mayfield and all that. So yeah, I think the Eagles will win this game. So I think the Bucks will start 1-3 in the month of September. I know that's weird. I know that's bold, but that's how I see it. Then Week 5, they got to play against the Seahawks in Seattle. This won't be an easy game because I know going to Seattle could be tough. And Mike McDonald, he's a great defensive coach, and he has found ways to confuse Baker Mayfield in the past, the Bucks offense in the past, even with Tom Brady. But at the same time, I lean Bucks here. And the reason for it is that I kind of really feel like the weakness of the Seahawks is their offensive line. And I just don't really think that Seattle's offensive line is going to be able to do much. I don't think Seattle will do much on offense, especially running the ball. And I feel like the Bucks defense can take advantage of that because they have the pass rush to get after Darnold. They have the secondary to cover against Cooper Kupp. So as long as your defense doesn't give up big plays to Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba, think you should be fine. And the Bucks are just a much more explosive offense as well. Like Seattle, I don't think they're going to be explosive in the running game. So I think the Bucks can run the ball better in Seattle, even though Seattle does have a great defense. So yeah. So I think Bowles will just do a good job, defending Sam Darnold and keeping him under pressure. So yeah. But I would not be surprised if Seattle won, but I think the Bucks will win because they're just a much more complete team. And and that's about why. Next game, Week 6 against the San Francisco 49ers. This won't be an easy game, so I think the Niners will win this game. So I think the Bucks will start 2-4. Now, the reason why I think that, the Niners will win this game is because, the Niners are just a much more complete team and had the better coaching staff. And Kyle Shanahan has had very good success against Bowles, and he has had answers for Todd Bowles' defense as well. I mean, the Niners they did bring back Rollins Solomon, which that's nice. Which I think, he has had good game plans against the Bucks. He found ways to at least give the Bucks offense a lot of problems. I think he can do that in this game. because the Niners do have a solid pass rush that can really stop the run. They can really get after Baker Mayfield. And then I feel like as long as they don't really give up big plays to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they should be fine. Like, I'm not worried about their secondary as well. And also, the Niners will have a bounce back season. So, yeah. I think the Niners. So, yeah. So, I think the Niners will win that game. Even though it's in Tampa, I think the Niners will win because I think the Niners are just a much more complete team. And that's about it. And have a better coaching staff. So, yeah. That's why I got the Niners winning that game. Week 7 against the Lions on a Monday night in Detroit. I actually got Detroit win this game, so the Bucks will probably start 2-5. I know that's weird. I know that's bold, but that's how I see it. I think I think the Lions will win because I just have a really feeling that the Lions are just like the much more physical team, better, and they're at home and all that, and they have better coaching as well. And I feel like the Lions are gonna want that revenge because last year the Bucks did beat them in Detroit, and the Lions did gain more yards, but the Lions should have won that game. But I think this time, I think they will, because here's the thing: the Lions, I feel like, are going to be really tough for the Bucks because the Lions have a really strong run defense that's good against the run, and they got a great D line that can really give the Bucks offense some fits, and they got a good cornerback group that can really match up well with the Bucks receivers. So yeah, but at the same time, the Lions might be too much for the Bucks, especially, the Bucks got to deal with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dave Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sam Laporte, and Jameson Williams. Like, that's a lot to ask for. So, I think the Lions, even though they're going through a coaching change, I believe they do got the skill group offensively to at least, like, get after the Bucks defense. So, yeah, I feel like this game will be a lot closer than we think, but I think the Lions will find a way to pull it off. Now the Bucks are 2-5, and they're totally in a bad spot. But don't worry, Bucks fans. We can get it right. I know it was a tough stretch for you guys, but then week 8, you got to play on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, last year the Saints should have beat them once last year because even the last game where the Bucks were supposed to win and get to the playoffs, the Bucks almost lost, but they ended up winning. But they did sweep them last year, so I think they're going to beat the Saints just because the Saints are probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league because the Saints, I don't know who the quarterback's going to be because is it going to be Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler? I kind of really feel like that, I wouldn't trust a young quarterback or a rookie against Todd Bowles' defense. So, yeah, I mean, Bucks, are just like way better and they have the better quarterback. And coaching is kind of better, but don't forget, Kellen Moore, has had good success against the Bucks. That's something you got to remember. Like, the Saints do have a rookie coaching staff who I'm not really believing. So, yeah, that's pretty much why. Then you're 3-5 heading towards the bye week. Then after the bye week, they have to play at home against the Patriots. Obviously, this won't be an easy game, but I got the Bucks winning this game, and the reason for it is I just have a feeling that the Patriots defense might struggle against the Bucks receiving core, and I think the Bucks will do enough offensively to move the ball against them that keeps the Patriots defense on their heels because I think the Bucks, Baker Mayfield is good at reading defenses. He's good at torching them, and also I just really think that when you look at the Bucks, like they they can be aggressive against the Patriots because the Patriots are really not a really good they're not a good offense even though they made improvements. I think Bowles can be aggressive enough to at least find a way to defend Drake May and get him under pressure. So yeah, and I don't think the Patriots will do much on offense, especially against your defense. Because I think as long as your defense don't give up big plays to Stephon Diggs, I think they should be fine. So yeah, and especially, I think the Bucks offensive line can stalemate the Patriots pass rush as well. So yeah, I think the Bucks can win that game because I think the Bucks are just like a better version of the Patriots, and they have the better roster overall and better quarterback. So yeah, I think the Bucks will win that game. Week 11 against the Buffalo Bills, I think they'll lose that game just because the Bills, Josh Allen is probably gonna be too much for your defense. And I just have a feeling that the Bills offensively can at least get after that secondary of Tampa Bay. I feel like they can get after your defense to like put your defense in a bad position. Because I just don't think the Bucks defense will be up to the task in that game. So yeah, and the Bills defense is solid, but the way they play defense, they like to play a lot of zone. Like they like they don't like play cover two. Sometimes they like cover one and cover two. So yeah, I feel like the Bills, their secondary is good, which I think they'll find a way to like man up against your receiving core. And they pretty much have a solid defensive line led by Joey Bosa, who can totally get pressure on Baker Mayfield and like difficult on him. So yeah. So the Bills, they're at home, better quarterback. They got the better coaching staff, and they're just a more complete team. So yeah, that's pretty much why I think the Bills will win that game. Week 12 against the Los Angeles Rams. I think they'll lose to the Rams just because I just have a feeling that, Sean McVay has had answers for Todd Bowles' defense. Like he has. Because even with Tom Brady, he did. I feel like, he can do it again against Todd Bowles because the Rams, they pretty much have a solid, their pass rush is really good, which I think they'll find a way to at least get after Baker Mayfield, made like this going on him. But their secondary is a weakness. But the Rams don't like to play man; they like to play a lot of zone. So maybe there's a chance that Baker Mayfield can dice them up. But at the same time, the Rams got some weapons on offense like Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, which I think they'll probably like give your defense tons of fits. So yeah. So I feel like that the Rams defense might come to play, and I think I don't think that Todd Bowles will have answers for I don't think the Bucks defense will have answers for Devontae Adams or Puka Nacua. So yeah. So I think that probably is going to lead to a Rams win because I think the Rams are pretty much got the better quarterback, and they're pretty much a more complete team, and they're at home, and their coaching is better. So yeah, that's pretty much why I think the Rams will win. Week 13 against the Arizona Cardinals, I think they should beat the Cardinals because I don't think the Cardinals are any good, but the Cardinals did make improvements. They did improve their defense a little bit, but the weakness is their secondary. So I think maybe there's a chance that Baker Mayfield can dice them up because I don't think the Cardinals, they don't really have the cover guys to cover against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Kadon or Emeka Buka. So yeah, those guys can totally go off. And I think the Bucks offensive line will probably find a way to stalemate the Cardinals pass rush because the Cardinals, defense sometimes they just like the Bucks will find out. I think they can block the Cardinals as well. So yeah, and I feel like that the Bucks do have a better defense which I think they'll find a way. I think Bowles will find a way to at least like get pressure on Kyler Murray and get after him. And I feel like that the Bucks secondary is good enough where I think Jamel Dean and Marvin Harrison is a good matchup, and then Antoine Winfield Jr. versus Trey McBride is a good matchup. So I think the Cardinals receiving core is not really good. So I think there's a chance that the Bucks defense can play sticky coverage against them and all that. And I think they can get a pass rush on Kyler as well. And also on top of that, the Bucks, they got the better quarterback. They're at home. And they're just a more complete team overall. So yeah. And they got the better coaching staff as well. So yeah. I think the Bucks easily win, but I think this game will be close because, it's going to be close because, Kyler Murray is a tricky quarterback to defend, so he could totally make some plays and all that. So, yeah. Then week 14 against the Saints, I think they're going to sweep the Saints because I don't think the Saints are going to be a good team this year. They don't got much to play for because I don't think the Bucks are going to make the playoffs this year. And, the Bucks, are trying to at least clinch a playoff spot. So yeah, they have more to play for. And on top of that, the Bucks are just a more complete team and have the better quarterback and better coaching as well. So yeah, that's why I think the Bucks will beat the Saints again. Next game, week 15 against the Falcons, Thursday night on a short week. I think that's a win as well for the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks, are just a more complete team, better quarterback, better coaching staff, and they're at home in this game. And Tampa Bay on a short week, yeah, that's tough for Atlanta. I don't see Atlanta beating the Bucks twice. Like they beat them last year. They beat them twice last year. I don't see it doing it again. Like I don't think the Falcons will have much to play for in this game because I think the Falcons will play for nothing because I don't think they're going to be a playoff team this year, and the Bucks will have more to play for because they need to win more if they want to get to the playoffs. So yeah, that's why I think the Bucks will beat the Falcons. Next game, week 16 against Carolina Panthers. I think they will split with the Panthers this year. I think the Panthers will win the first game, and the reason for it is that the Panthers. I like the improvements on offense, and I pretty much think they did improve their offensive line, and they pretty much did improve their weapon read. And the Panthers should have at least beat the Bucks last year once, but that wasn't the case. But they should though, because I thought they played really well against the Bucks last year, so I think they'll beat them once this year. But I think they will beat the Panthers the last game because the Bucks might have more to play for in this game, and the Panthers. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year because they're gonna be playing for nothing. And plus, the Bucks are just a better team overall, better quarterback, and all that, and their coaching is better as well. So I think they'll at least win one against the Panthers, but I could see them beating the Panthers the first time and losing them the second time. Depending on the Bucks really need to win the last game to get to the playoffs. So yeah, it just depends if they really need to win the last game to get to the playoffs because the Bucks could be resting their stars and playing their backups that game, but I'm leaning towards the Bucks winning the last game because I think they will play their starters. Then week 17 against the Miami Dolphins. This is a game that can go either way. Now, I know most people are picking the Dolphins to win because they're at home. And, they got a lot of speed on offense with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which that can give your Bucks defense some fits. But I'm leaning towards the Bucks to win this game because even though it's in Miami, I'm still leaning towards the Bucks to win this game because this is a short travel and Tampa's going to be used to the conditions and the weather. And Tampa Bay just overall there's the more complete team, and they have the better quarterback, the better line of scrimmage, and they have the better defense. And the Dolphins are like a soft team this year. I feel like they're gonna be taking a step back. Um, their offensive line is not gonna be as good as last year and a couple years ago. The defense, especially against the back half of the defense, is totally not going to be as good as last year, especially if Jalen Ramsey's not there and Javon Holland's not there. I mean, yeah, I think the Bucks can expose the Dolphins because I just don't see how the Dolphins are going to be able to cover the Bucks because Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Ibuka, Kate Auden, those guys are just going to be too much for the Dolphins secondary to handle. Because I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to have the cover guys to at least cover the Bucks receivers. So yeah, and who knows? Tua could be hurt by this point in the year, and they could be starting Zach Wilson, which he's one of the worst stars in football. So yeah. So overall, I got the Bucks going 9-8, which that's pretty good enough to make the playoffs. So yeah. So I feel like 9-8, 10-7 is good enough for a playoff spot. I can see them being as good as 11-6 or 12-5, but I feel like the Bucks is probably gonna go somewhere from like I can see them being as bad as 8-9, but I think they'll probably at least go somewhere from like 9 to 11 wins. I think 12-5 would be at best, but 8-9 will probably be at worst if most of their players get injured. So yeah, so as you look at the Bucks schedule, it's a lot difficult than last year because they have to play the Falcons twice. They play a first place schedule in the Texans. They play a play the Eagles, which is another first place schedule. Then they got to play the NFC West teams, which they got to play the Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. They got to play an improved Patrons team. They even got to play another first place schedule in the Bills, the Bills, and they play the Saints twice, the Panthers twice, and all that. So yeah, I mean, this could totally be a lot. This schedule is a lot difficult than last year, but I feel like it could be easier though. But in my opinion, I still think the Bucks will win the division because I feel like they're more talented and they have less flaws, less holes. Like, yeah, and they got the best quarterback in the division too, and the best coaching staff in the division too. So yeah, that's why I think the Bucks will go 9-8, and that's pretty much good enough to win the division. And that's why I have the Bucks, winning the NFC South once again, even though the division is weak. So yeah. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Uh it's Emmanuel Jones from the Big Fan. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe to my channel to see more of my NFL 2025 record prediction videos. So yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Peace.